aware of myself as one tiny piece in the gigantic mosaic, a replaceable natural phenomenon, as dust in the eyes of the nights, weary with ages of weariness like Schubert and Mozart. I was a small boy, and I was very tired when I arrived, exhausted. And the moment I set foot on the docks, a British soldier came up to me and said, on the streets of Malta, as a result of research done in Balsan, Marsa, and Hafar, and said, "This created liminal space of betweenness," he said, "this dream of stepping free into the light, considered to be some sort of tourist attraction, this," and then nothing. Every atom, from the tip of your toes to the top of your head, is shifting, shuttling, and vibrating in a collective purr within which the entire history of the universe is implicated. When you're calm, open, its image fits you, its increasingly meditative and poignant verse, mixed up in the thought that something's been forgotten where the quilts are imperceptibly mutating into soil. Suddenly in the yard, pigeons strut cockily, lute under wing. Do you see? I'm changing so much my house shakes. Night, stars, we're ready courteously to take off each other's skin. What is this debt, and whom do I owe it to? Jennifer, Yvonne, Richard, Connor, Elsa, Stephen, Ed, Daniel, Gary. The rules of grammar. The sunlit birch branch receives a bluebird drowsily. Neither know what a Finland is. How did you sleep? Let's let fate speak instead. Here are indices of Penguin's rhyming dictionary: Ibsen, imposition, impossibility, indirect. Are trees reversed sky burials to which our breaths comport tribute instead of picking at what's left? The bluebird was replaced by that birch and tamborine's plie, signing the vivid air like Keats would water the weirdo. No, Govinda, worship isn't too much to ask. May I? I'm here now. I'll read one more poem for you, and then we're going to see some films. And I'll offer a word about those films in advance of my reading this poem, just to complicate things a little. So, what you'll see will be 6 short films, some of which I promise are very short, a runtime total for about 14 minutes or so. Each of which short film adapts a poem by a different Canadian poet. Don't have time over the course of this reading to look too closely about that word, Canadian. Their names and the titles of the poems are Magpie by Katrina Wright, Sea Song by Jenny Burkle, Small Deaths by Spencer Smith, Ripley's Aquarium by Shane Nielsen, If I Wrote a Poem About My Father by Sean Robinson, and To the Bridge by Julie Bruck. At the table in the back, you'll also find, by means of QR code, beneath which are situated paragraphic descriptions, 2 other micro shorts, those written by Paula Ferrante and Brandon Wint, and their titles are Things She Wants and White, respectively. The films are also available online. So, a poem, and then I will join you in the audience to watch these films with your patience and mind intact. Thank you for your attention. I appreciate it. This poem, which I will adapt to the screen next spring, the first writing of my own that I will have adapted to the screen, as I don't know anything about Tai Chi, but I feel like I'm in the midst of a move, putting weight over one foot onto another foot, and the first foot has been writing, and the second foot is becoming film. And so you'll forgive me for the work having been, as you'll see, perhaps at points at least, rather amateur. But I guess the root of that word is love, from the Latin. And it's really as a result of love for each of those poems that I propose to transmute them in great good company. And I should mention Nicole Cohenan, the cinematographer and editor, Nikki Carr, Ruth Doothright, the leads. You'll also see Jennifer Shirley and James Bryant, David John Phillips and Kaz Nielsen, and others who will be listed in the credits that you'll see. With apologies for the redundancies in the credits, I don't mean to betray megalomania, which I may or may not possess, by repeatedly referring to myself as the director-producer. It was very much a co-equal production. Very often I was leading from behind and watching as others did the work. So, a poem. Let's say it was one of those windfall nights in July, when 4 friends sit mostly sitting and not speaking around a campfire, illuminating their faces in a pattern whose unpredictability at that hour and depth of saturation, if the data could be harvested and charted, would show cluster points. That was the term that came to mind. Trends, which would certainly reveal something about the implicit mathematics of the universe, like the stars alternately concealed and disembarked from by clouds moving coldly like the tattered thoughts of the world, not helping anyone just above their heads. The hour is the one with the curve in its back, booze in its belly, blood in its cheeks, and one of the friends sang almost involuntarily, in part revelation, in part considered admission, that she wishes she had married someone who could play the piano. She is a lab technician, let's say, which means that earlier tonight she relieved her scalp of the gentle ache the bun of her hair makes, and the campfire light in her loosed hair plays like young cats in the sand. As the 4 friends mutually witness this true sentence she has just spoken, hanging before them as the fire bites and crackles away at it, and one of them says, mm-hmm. And the 4 produce the laughs they are inclined or accustomed to do on such a windfall night in July. It's late. And human beings have met to suture the wounds the railroads have made across this country, bled for centuries of ore and oil and timber and flesh and precious metals in a manner reported by the poor, swollen news networks, miasmic with commercials selling the exhausting, wouldn't you agree, exhausting obligation of happiness. As a national railroad shut down, that was the phrase. Shut down! St. John's, Newfoundland, running low on propane in one of the coldest winters in its history, declares the italicized preface to an article commissioned by a media conglomerate funded in large part by the very oil corporation to which our prominent economists apply the verb hemorrhaging, as in the phrase hemorrhaging capital, unironically. And what would John the Apostle say of the matter except that propane had no business in his namesake to begin with? And what was propane but St. John fathoming propane? Would you say we may have wandered from our subject? No one of the friends wants to say a word or shift their seat around the campfire for fear that it might precipitate thoughts of the morning And the children whose bellies they are responsible for settling with orange juice and eggs and toast, into whose peanut buttered surface a knife is drawn in the shape of a heart, like the stencils we have made on cave walls and gravestones for hundreds of thousands of years, a species preparing our little ones for the day, stretching uncomprehending before them in the sun which shone as Beckett would have it upon the nothing new. What could children know of the provinces and jurisdictions we have devised? Crisscrossed with bulk freight, they'd identify parked before a train crossing as choo-choos! And how in good conscience to slip the paperback, perfect bound workbook with the harmonious drawings of the ecosystem into the glittering pink and blue door of the Explorer backpack after the 6-year-old has carefully nibbled around the edge of the heart drawn in the peanut butter so that the toast is the shape of a heart, her baby teeth having near perfectly defined its edge. And what to do but lift this child and kiss her inconsolably. And when the bus pulls from the waving place on the corner, what to do but return to the nook to pick up with 2 fingers the plastic cup she emptied of concentrated orange juice and the plate stippled with crumbles and flecks of peanut butter, and bring them to the sink and convince your scalp into its professional bun and stand with your throat in your hands, wondering what in the world is coming next.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the...
The woman who eats tar lives next to the woman who eats detergent, who lives next to the woman who eats dirt. When they carve me open, they'll find bolts, screws, and fine red potter's clay. My baby is half ashes, half cornstarch, half chalk. In the back garden, I use both hands to shovel the soil in, tender earthworms tickling my tonsils, snail shells scraping my tongue. The woman who eats paint chips lives next to the woman who eats pebbles, who lives next to the woman who eats wool. I am not one of those monogamists who swoons imagining the heft of her favorite stationery. I am as happy wolfing down cream cardstock as I am nibbling gemstone sparkle tissue paper. Ever since I tore my mouth lock off, I've been binging like a magpie on every glint and texture. The woman who eats mucus lives next to the woman who eats lipstick, who lives next to the woman who eats bottle caps. Let the tyrants stomp through their kitchens, slapping dazed sous chefs with steaks. Let them caress the garlic press and lemon zester. I'm not interested in stoves, those great civilizers. I'm not interested in marinate, broil, bake. Just pluck me a couple of silver nostril hairs, the coarser the better, and I'll be on my way.
Sea song. Blue-winged hum billowing through a flood of holy, holy, holy. There is a resonance, cast down deep within, hook what is downcast. There is a part of me that puzzles into shapes, ebbing and diaphanous as sea foam. There is a sound that catches. It is a net, I am a fish. It is a line, I am a fish. It is a spear, I am a fish. Deep unto deep, ocean unto ocean, blue unto blue. Rare as the bright blue lobster, clattering its claws against a cage, behemoth as the blue whale pressed into the belly of the sea. There is a seawall split within.
deaths. Death is an ant under your shoe, the unwatered spider plant, a grain of fentanyl thinner than a needle of Douglas fir. I search the rainforest for names of the dead. Unlike the newspaper, there are no statistics here, only red alder, sword fern. Vancouver grew so sick of rain, it built a coffee shop on every corner. How many downpours until we upend Earth for solutions? How many deaths? I find an obituary etched into the skin of an arbutus. Alan enjoyed great food, especially prosciutto. Overhead, a barn owl flies.
Ripley's Aquarium. I wish I were less, and lesser I shall be. My son and I stand on a conveyance. The fish need a single file or school, but arranged as coral accumulative, as death dispersed, sharp ardent. Motion scrapes the transparent glass. He likes the stingrays. Me, my mind's not right. Other families, ooh, nah. What luck. My son and I, we're silent. He sees electric as I fight the urge, as always, to close my eyes. Less about me. The boy's not happy, exactly. He's quiet. Synapse underwater. Gusto leaking red. He's heard my sonar try to track how far a thing is from happening. He knows. Too far. And smiles more than I. And therefore becomes this address. What eloquence? Why fight some full fathom of greater sins? The water never moves, saying, choose life and die. A straight line, those two. My son and I wish I were less I shall be. Why don't the sharks eat everything? Each question sparks against a glass. Deep, strange green. Snow globe soon. I wish I could sing like Leviathan rising, shake the scene, cute dirge. But my eyes are closed. Oh, I don't know the words. The crowd will not celebrate. Pain is deafness here. The vacuum chamber, butterflies fixed. My son looks on. Suddenly sad. I know, I say. We don't choose.
If I wrote a poem about my father, I'd tell you how he taught me to know whitetail from mule deer by prodding roadkill with his rifle, north by the moss on trees and spruce by the painting cause, to draw the thin green capsules of nectar from Indian paintbrush, and a knife from a trout's gills to its anus, to scoop out the sloppy coil of intestines, the soggy raisin of its heart. I wouldn't have to explain how the intimate animal smell of his work clothes occupied the laundry room, or how his greasy orange-shelled chainsaw ruled the basement, perched on his tarp pile of firewood and board ends. If I said he once went behind our house and attacked the hillside with a mattock and shovel, carving it into a series of steps where my mother planted carrots and sunflowers, I would leave out the time he tied my brother's dog Joey to a post and shot him with the 22 because he wouldn't stop chewing on Pepper's skull. I'd tell you that he taught me to layer kindling over bald paper, light it in several places, let the flame build before adding logs, but not that he had scars all over his arms from lighting himself on fire. And if I said I still build fires the way he taught me, I wouldn't mention how the raining years washed out the terraces he made behind the house. I wouldn't say that he still had control, but I
To the bridge. 18 or 19, unshaven, with backpack, he stops me on the quiet park trail, asks, where can I send him that's more secluded? Is there a place where no one goes? We're alone on the path, and I'm trained to give him anything he wants. Walk west, I say, towards the ocean. It's only a mile, maybe 2. Hoping that's the end of it. Can you repeat that, he asks. Finally, I retrieve my hands from deep fleece pockets and point. There, go down the hill, keep walking. See those woods? That's west. He thanks me, turns away, while the rest of us keep following designated trails in our branded athletic shoes, measuring what remains of an afternoon. Light pokes accusatory fingers into every crevice. Someone's son walks west, gaining on the Golden Gate Bridge, where so many beautiful boys fly. I may have drawn this one a map.